need to, that's what I need to do. Keep one screen open so that I can check who is coming in and let them in. It's just me at the minute. That's okay. Hopefully there'll be some live streamers out there somewhere. So what to do first? Oh, I forgot that my place looks like a bomb's hit it. Well, at least you get a nice cabinet. So let's get started. Well, let's just give people another minute, shall we, to get in. This session is called I Know I Should Exercise, So Why Don't I? I can't tell you. No, I wouldn't say it's conversations with clients because we probably know what we want to do by that stage, but just generally in life, if I've met up with people and they if they sort of get to know what my job is, they sort of start making their excuses, which is fair enough. And I'm always like, you don't have to, you don't have to say that. But they'll say, oh, I know I should. And it's been on my radar and I've been meaning to. You're not alone. There's so many people say, I've said it. I will come up with an example, but I've definitely said it. Sometimes life is just a bit busy. Sometimes things are just a bit tricky. But I'm going to get into that and tell you what's going up in here. A little bit of neuroscience-ish, but I'm no way qualified to really talk about it other than what I've read on the internet. But I have been doing some mindfulness coaching, so I can talk about it. I'm a holistic mindset coach as well as a PT, so I can kind of talk to it from that vein. So I'm already starting to ramble and waffle, which is great. I don't know what to do next. Let's have... Should we share the slides? Let's do a share screen. That's probably a good thing to do. Let's share screen one. Let's get the slides open because I've learned a little bit of trickery with this. So we can... Hang on. There we go. Right. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Sorry. One more, just had to do it. So I can't tell what you can see. I can't tell who's joining and who's not, so bear with me. But let's make a start. So hi everyone and welcome. Whether you're here live or watching on the replay, I'm really glad that you're here. This session is called I Know I Should Exercise, So Why Don't I? And if you've ever had that mental tug of war, the voice in your head that says, go on, you'll feel better, get it done. And the other voice that says, nah, not today. You're not alone and you're not broken. We're certainly not broken. My name is Rachel. I run Taskmaster Fitness, where I help people stay strong, mobile and independent, especially after surgery, injury, or just a period of time of feeling a bit stuck and maybe not quite yourself. Today's session is for anyone who wants to move more but keeps hitting the wall. You might have never seen yourself as a sporty type, so it feels like a bit of a battle to get started. And you don't really know if it's, you want to turn up and make a fool of yourself. And we all worry about that. B, might be coming back from an injury or a painful experience, and you just know that you don't want to make things worse and you don't want to take a backward step because that was really bad. You're kind of okay now, and you only want it to get better. You really don't want to go backwards. Totally hear that. Or you just feel disheartened that you can't do what you used to do. Look, plenty of people. I've got one client who always tells me, when I used to swim, and he's referring to, I don't want to give away his age, but there's like a 30-year gap, but we still think like that, and it's totally human. And yeah, because we remember what we used to do, we forget that there's been a big chunk of time in between. So in this session, we're going to explore why your brain resists even when you know it's good for you, how to reframe your relationship with exercise so it feels less like punishment. I don't expect that we're going to get all this done in half an hour. And how to find your own reasons to keep going, ones that don't rely on motivation. So we might not put the world completely to right in half an hour, but hopefully it's going to be thought-provoking enough, and give you maybe a little mindset shift that you start to think, oh, it's not just me, and this is what I can do instead. There's no need to take notes unless you want to, and you don't need to turn your camera on or speak unless you'd like to. Just be here, take what you need, leave the rest, and know this is a space for you. So let's get into it. But before we do get into it, I just want to check, is anyone... Oh, no, okay. Let's move that over there. Let's come back to this. Sorry, you can see all sorts of messy things. Okay, here we go. So this is today's session. This is where we are. Oh, no, now this is weird. Oh, God. Right. Sorry, totally distracted by two screens. So I know I should be exercising. Why don't I? I'll stop rambling. Let's get into it. You're not broken. You're human. And I don't want this to feel like an excuse. And I like a bit of terminology. It just helps me feel like something is a bit more credible. Like I said somewhere at the start, I am not a neuroscientist. I have literally read about this. So in the brain, there's the amygdala, which apparently is almond shaped and is in the center of your brain somewhere. And this looks out for things that are sort of our emotional responses, and looks for things that are risky, could be stressful, are going to put us in some kind of like danger. And we know that humans have evolved over the years and things have changed. So now currently the amygdala, when things can be really just small things like going to a party where you don't know anyone, that's considered a risk by your brain. Trying a new activity, again, a risk. And so your brain goes on to high alert, or a higher alert. And there is another part of the brain that is called the neocortex, which is more of a slower response. And this gives you a chance to sort of measure the risk. It's a bit more nurturing, I suppose. But the amygdala is very fast acting. So this is where our excuses come from very quickly, why we shouldn't be doing something. And yeah, so there is actually genuinely something going on up here that you may not feel like you're fully in control of. And it's why it leaves you going, why don't I just do that? The number of times people have come into the gym and I've shown them what to do, and they just kind of look at me and say, it's not that hard, is it? I'm like, it's not. Why don't I do this more often? I don't know. It is quite often like a very natural conversation that comes up, because a lot of the time, it isn't, especially if we're privileged to have a healthy body, it's not that hard. But there is something happening up here in the brain that makes us want to not do it, to keep ourselves safe, to not put ourselves out there, not try a new activity, because we don't know how it's going to go. So it makes us want to stay away. Equally, if we have experienced exercise that has injured us, even more so, we're not going to go back to it. We're going to think twice and have sort of a little bit of a question mark over that. So it's really understandable, I think. And the important thing here is because the brain can, because these excuses can come in so quickly. It was great last night, actually, because this came up in Hit and Chat. And I was like, so what excuses does everyone have for not, doing exercise? And one lady shared, that she walks her dogs before the class. And so sometimes she'll be out, you know, and she'll see the other regular dog walkers out and she'll chat to them and say hello. And then she'll look at her watch and be like, oh, I've got to get back. But look, Joan was talking to me for too long and now I'm not going to make it. Because it's kind of keeping us safe and stopping her from going. But if we can recognize that thought as it's happening and go, oh, hang on a minute, I get that, but this is definitely something I want to do. This particular lady has osteopenia, so she knows she wants to train for her bone health. So it then gives her an opportunity to recognize also the thing that she wants to achieve ultimately, and that this is just as part of a number of steps to get her there. So if we can like slow the thoughts down, not rush into anything, we can normally rationalize ourselves and get ourselves there. So it's okay to say that this is a mantra. Let me just go back to this. So recognizing thoughts without being the thought. So this morning, for instance, it's the 4th time that I've gone outdoor swimming at Guildford Lido. It's very nice, can recommend it. And I got there early and it was a bit colder than the last few weeks. And it was the time when I was the least, I was like, oh, I could just stay in bed. But actually, the things that were nice about it, it feels like you've been productive early doors already. But the environment there is nice. And I was trying to remind myself that actually what I'm trying to do is build up my lung capacity so that I can exercise for longer in other things that I do, that I really enjoy variety in my exercise routine. I don't like it when it's the same thing week in, week out. Or I couldn't do the same. Like one lady I spoke to swimming this morning, she said her friend goes swimming 4 mornings a week. I couldn't do that. I would just be like, oh no, I need a bit of variety. So I have newly instigated running back in. I like to go for walks. I like to go for a swim. I go to CrossFit twice a week. So I have a mixed bag of things that I do. That's how I prefer it to be. And it keeps me more engaged. So let me just take us back to this slide. So recognize the thoughts without being the thought. Just because the thought is saying, oh, no, that's a bit hard, doesn't mean to say you have to act that out. You can acknowledge the thought, say thank you for it coming up, and then you can move on and do what you want. So some people like a mantra. Not everyone does, but sometimes it's really good to reframe. I'm just checking the time so I don't ramble on. It's good to reframe something, and a mantra can really help you do that. And just as a small sentence, it doesn't have to be this sentence, it could be any, but this sentence is, this is discomfort, not danger. I will be okay. I'm looking after myself. And that can just really reassure that amygdala overreaction, trying to protect yourself and keep you safe where you are. This mantra can then just say, no, it's okay. This is discomfort. I know what this is. It's not danger. Nothing awful is going to happen. I will be okay. And I'm doing my best to look after myself. And that is a good thing. Okay, so the second thing, this for me, this presentation, I was looking forward to it because this is some of the questions that people ask me often. And one is, what is the best exercise? What is the one thing that I should be doing? And I smile because it's never the answer that they want. There is not one exercise that fixes everything, but I can say the best kind of exercise is the exercise that you don't dread. Because if you think about that amygdala part of the brain, the bit that holds you back and is wanting to keep you safe, If you keep saying to yourself, if you don't like running and you keep saying to yourself, oh, I must go for a run, everyone who's fit runs, I used to be fit when I used to run, I must run, but you actually fundamentally hate it, you're going to kick off that part of your brain that's going, no way, we're not doing that today. No, we're going to keep this safe because we don't like that nonsense. We don't feel comfortable there. This is not happening. And then you'll find all of the excuses in the world not to do it. I hope that really helps actually deliver this. So find exercise that you like. It doesn't always have to be a slog. It really doesn't. And it will still be having a benefit. I did come up with a few examples other than running. So if you don't like running, don't do it. Do something else. If you're not sure if you like running, give it a go. Start really small. Like smaller than you think. Keep it well within your comfort zone. It might feel like you're not doing very much. That's okay. Just do it consistently. It will get better. The other thing is, so it doesn't have to be running. Doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a cyclist. You don't have to get all the lycra. You don't have to be a swimmer if you don't like getting. If there's something you don't like, don't do it. Find something else. The one exception I will say, especially as we're all getting older, is don't avoid weight training. That is important. Do that. But you don't have to do it exclusively. That doesn't have to be the one thing that you do. Like I said, you can have variety in your week. 2 strength sessions a week, some hill walking with a friend, maybe you like a spin class, whatever else you like, you can absolutely do that. And it's all completely valid. I would just say that's the one thing not to avoid if you can help it. And if it's the environment as well. So if you don't like weight training in a gym and you've got space at home and you're happy to store a few weights, do it at home. Do it in a way that suits you, because the other thing about finding exercise that you like is it's not always just about the exercise itself. Take into account the location. How difficult is it to get there? Is there parking? How easy is the booking process? Do you have to get up at 7 a.m. to book on for the class in 8 days' time? Or can you know that your place is there and you just turn up? The coach or the instructor, do you like them? It's okay if you don't like them. You don't have to go to that class. You can try another one. Not all Zumba instructors are the same. I guarantee not all personal trainers are the same. We are human beings. We have our own individual take, our own lived experience. How we communicate things is different. Find the instructor that you respect, that you enjoy listening to, that you want to spend time with and learn from. Again, you're going to show up for that. What other things are there? Like the atmosphere. A big one, actually, for me that I've noticed is the sense of community and turning up and feeling like there's loads of people to talk to and say hi to and people to get to know. That's, for me, that's really important. I loved that when I used to row in rowing. And then I did Olympic weightlifting, and now I'm at CrossFit, and the CrossFit is blinding. That sense of community for me and having people around, I love that. So it's also these kinds of things that are going to keep you returning to exercise. So it's not always the exercise itself. And let me say this, comfort is good. I know there are probably going to be some coaches out there, and there'll probably be some of you out there that will be like, oh, is she just telling us all to be lazy? I'm not. I'm saying that it's okay if exercise is comfortable. It doesn't always want to be comfortable. It doesn't always want to be easy, but it doesn't always need to be hard either. Like if you can consistently show up, and then every 4 weeks or so you have a session where you work particularly hard, and then you go back to being, a regular. Honestly, for that part of your brain that needs the reassurance that this is going to be okay so that you can actually turn up, comfort is good. You might get a bit of discomfort. You might have a harder workout than you expected, but you need to go into that thinking, this is going to be good. I can do this. I have done this before. I can show up. I like this. This works for me. That's what you need. Because it's never about how hard it is. It's about whether you'll come back to it. And yeah, I personally could not think of anything worse than going to a boot camp, being yelled at by the instructor and being told to do more and more and more. When I feel like I've already achieved that day, like especially if it's an evening class, the last thing I want to do is have someone shouting over my shoulder. Now, I know there'll be people out there who'll say, oh no, I need that. It really gets me going. For me, I swear, if someone says, drop down and give me 20, I will stamp my feet like a small child, possibly swear at them, and want to storm off. I'm choosing not to use bad language because I am live on the internet. So yeah, if someone's saying, oh, I wonder how that could work, or maybe you could try that, or it's a bit more like, oh yeah, go on then. If I say to the coach, shall I put a bit more weight on the bar? Oh yeah, like that's it. That's give and take. That's me being part of the process, and I'm happy to do it. And I just feel like that's how it should be. That's how I coach all of my clients, and you know, we have a good time and they make progress. It just doesn't always need to have this like ness about it. So my third point, sorry to have rambled on there, but my third point is you don't need motivation, you need leverage. What do I mean by that? This is where you tap into the real reason why you are trying to do whatever piece of exercise that it is that you're doing. My other piece of lived experienced honesty is that for me, losing weight is not a strong enough motivation. I have known this since my late teens, early 20s. At no time in my life have I said, right, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to do exercise to do it. And then I've stuck at that exercise. For me personally, when I hear myself or heard myself trying to do it to myself, and when I hear other people say it about themselves, it's not leverage. It feels like another stick to beat yourself with. So I don't want to discredit anyone when they say, oh, I need to lose weight, because I respect that some people really do think, feel and believe that will make things better. What I will say is to have compassion with yourself, but also that may well be a motivator, but also look for other ones. Look deeper than that, look further than that. Even if you don't mind doing a bit of journaling, like write a list of all the things that you think it could do for you. Lose weight might be at the top of the list, but then keep going. Like, what else could it do? What else do you want? What else do you want to achieve? Where do you want to get to? And start to see that. Actually, a health condition, as much as it's not nice to be given a health condition, and I have a couple of my own, actually having a health condition can really focus the mind and get you into taking some action. So motivations might be things like you want to go on a big trip next year, and you know that there's going to be lots of touristy things and walking around cities, and they might be hilly and just really out of your comfort zone of what your normal activities would be, and you just want to make sure that you've got the energy to do that. That's a deeper motivation. You're going to get something out of that. It's going to really mean something to you. Maybe you've got young children in your life and you're trying to keep up with them, either in their activities or just playing around the house, like whatever it is, that is a much stronger leverage or reason for moving and exercising. And so on those days, like this morning when I couldn't be up, was feeling like maybe I could just stay at home and not go for a swim and let myself off the hook. It's like, oh no, do you know what? I will go. I might not work as hard as I'd expect, but I'm going to go because I know this is going to pay off for me. What else did I say? Yes, embrace the positive cheerleader in you. If you continue to listen to that voice that goes, I should, but I need to, I should, it should be like this, why can't I do better, why, that's really negative, and you end up hitting a wall even harder. If you can ask your ass, like, oh, I wonder if I can do this, or I wonder why that isn't working out for me, what could I do that's different, how could I tweak this? When you have compassion and curiosity, you're more likely to take a step forward. And when you do take a step forward, absolutely give yourself a pat on the back, no matter how small. You don't need to post it on Facebook if you don't want to. You don't even need to tell your husband, but you might do. But just know and have a little celebration in yourself, like, oh, that went well. And let yourself feel that it went well, because we need that to remind ourselves that these things are worth doing and that we can go back to them, so we can ease that nervous, anxious part of our brain and allow ourselves to move forward. So if there was somebody here, maybe you're listening live, what would you, maybe, yeah, you're listening from Facebook or LinkedIn, what would you like for yourself? I guess that's where I was saying about the list. What do you want exercise to give you? What do you think it's going to give you? And just keep writing. I remember when I did the PT training, they were like, what are the benefits of exercise? And this spider diagram just came out, and there are just so many things that exercise has benefit for. So you can write anything. It might even just help you with your stress levels at work, or maybe it's stress of looking after a family member. Like, exercise is really stress relieving, so long as it's easy, so long as it's comfortable. If you're constantly every week trying to run a marathon faster than you did last time, that's probably not as good. It won't help you relax. But this morning, like, I only did 10 lengths, actually. It's 50-meter pool, just to give myself a little bit of credit. But it was just what I needed this morning to relieve some anxiety, but still allow myself to feel like I hadn't relaxed too much. I could still do a bit of work. So getting to know your own balancing, a juggling act, is really useful. We're almost there. Look at that. How can your mindset shift? And what does winning look like for me? Those are probably two questions, actually, that you could write down and take away with you now and just sit with. Like, what are my thoughts around exercise? Why aren't I doing it? And how could I look at that differently? You could try and sit in someone else's shoes and think, what would my friend say to me? What would my auntie say to me? And try and get a different perspective. And if someone came to you, if a friend came to you with that problem, what advice would you give them? And can you give that advice yourself? What compromise is there that can be made? And then the second question is, what does winning look like for me? So I spoke to a client on the phone the other day, and I was like, so what? Because she said to me, and people do say, I just really want to get fit. Okay, what would that look like for you? What would being fit look like for you? Because it's different to everyone. We've all got we're all at different ages. We've all got different lifestyles. We've had different lived experiences up to what point we already are. So how do we know that we're as fit as we want to be? What is our expectation of what fit looks like? And that can really help shape you as well and get you forward thinking and taking steps forward into what it is that you want to do. So I hope that's been useful. I do have a last slide to share, but there is also something else that I wanted to say, just to wrap things up. Here we go. So just to recap then, just to bring this to a nice close. Can I do a little? Oh no. Just to recap. So you're not broken. You're human. Your brain is trying to protect you, not sabotage you. and you have the power to address that if you want to. The best kind of movement is the stuff that you don't dread. You'll always enjoy it, which will mean that you'll go back to it. And that you don't need motivation. You need reasons that matter to you. So just because Joan down the road goes for a run because it helps her with her mental health doesn't mean to say that you need to do the same. Your mental health might not be an issue, or you don't like running. So what you need to do is often going to look different to what someone else is doing. So if that has sparked off, hang on. If that has sparked off something in you that maybe you want to shift in how you think about movement, or take a small action you want to take, amazing, crack on, please do it. And I would love to hear about it. Actually, share it with me. And if you're curious about, I know, us working together more closely, or if you're looking to start exercising in a way that's supportive and realistic and comfortable, I'd love to invite you to explore my Hit and Chat class and see what you think of that. I'll pop some, when I send the replay round, I'll pop some links in for that. I guess the next episode of this actually isn't until the Thursday, the 18th of September. So we've got a bit of time. But if there's anything you want to know, want to ask, want to share, maybe you disagree with me, then I would still love to hear that. Let me stop sharing. There we go. So it just leaves me to say thank you so much for being here today, whether it's been, it's probably been on whether you're watching this on the replay or whether you've been listening to it on the live stream somewhere. Thank you so much. You showed up for yourself today, and that's not nothing. So hopefully maybe I'll see you again in future. Have a good one.